And make sure you get an industrial one, because a lot of times when you're holding this in the water, little sharks will be attracted to it while you're out cast netting for more mullet or trying to fish for another fish, and they will start biting at it. It doesn't happen often, but it happens sometimes. And what these metal rings are, these are actually dream catcher rings. And I have it about 12 inches in diameter, and it fits perfectly in a 10-gallon trash can. And of course, depending on your needs, you know, you might need smaller or larger, and they come in different sizes. And you're also going to need some crystal clear enamel. It doesn't have to be crystal clear, just any kind of Rust-Oleum enamel, which will prevent rust, prevent these things from rusting, and it just lasts a lot longer. And zip ties, which will help you keep the whole thing together while you're doing a little bit of sewing. It's not going to be a lot of sewing. You're going to sew with monofilament, but it will help keep it all together while you're making those sewing. And of course, you're going to need a trash can or a bucket, you know, whatever receptacle. That way you can put the bait hotel or the fish hotel in here, and then you can take the whole thing from your truck bed to the boat, or to the boat to the truck bed to the kitchen, you know. So it just this is just basically transport, and it also helps a lot in creating it. After applying the enamel coating, you want to go ahead and insert the laundry bag into your transport, whatever that may be. And when you put it in there, you want to make sure it's even all the way around. You don't want, you know, one side way out on here. You want to make sure it's nice and even. And then you get your metal ring here, and you place that inside like this. And you want to press it down, because you notice how it's not all the way to the bottom of your transport. So you want to keep it kind of elevated from the bottom, but when you press down that ring, you want to press down on both sides and get nice and even and get it nice and flat onto the bottom of your tank here. Put you guys over there on that little trash can. I had to roll it up because it was hitting the handles here. But anyway, I'm putting even pressure on both sides here. Just going real even on both sides until it's nice and flat. What I'm going to do now, and I don't know how well I'm going to do this on camera, well, we're going to get these little zip ties, and we're going to feed it through the mesh, and I'm going to, you know, tie the ring to where it is. You know, don't try to move this ring while doing it. You want to keep it right where it is. And you know, you don't need a lot of zip ties. You know, 4 zip ties going all the way around will just be fine, because we're going to sew this. And you have to kind of sew it, because this shape here isn't perfectly circular, and especially smaller baits, they will get stuck in little creases and end up dying because they can't swim. To make zip tying really easy, and I kind of learned this from putting in capacitors in HVAC systems, is you just give it a little bend. You know, give it a little bend like that. And what happens is you can feed it through that mesh, and you can bring it up and bring it and just hook it around and get it through. So as you can see, it's nice and zip tied up. Just got 4 zip ties on there. You know, you don't need a lot. You just need to hold it, you know, all the way around. So another item I forgot to mention in the items list at the beginning is pipe insulation. You can get like a pack of these for, I don't know, like $2.50 at Home Depot. This is what's going to keep the top of your bait hotel afloat. Otherwise, it'll just sink down on all your baits. Get rid of that. Just kind of roll it falls kind of short. But that's all right. Not too bad. So now, at this point, I'm just going to get more of these zip ties and just zip tie it all the way around. Okay, so in order to get the upper ring in, the trick is to already have the zip ties already in there. And what I use as a guide is this ring right here. So a trick to that is, just like the bottom, is you create a nice hook inside with the zip tie, and you just kind of feed it through. So you just get it up in there, go into the mesh right there at that ring, bring it up 3 or 4 mesh rings, and then just kind of feed that through, and then just bring it all the way through. And then you just kind of fit it in there, you know, in between all the zip ties, and then you just tie it up. Tie one on one side and tie one on the other side. And as for the ring itself, you know, you want to get zip ties on the 2 ends there really good, and then just a couple more on the outer perimeter. So let's take this thing out and just kind of look at it as is. Yeah, not bad, right? You know, you get a weight on there. What I use is a 5-pound weight plate for exercise, weight training, and that sits nice and flat on the bottom. The pipe insulation will keep the top afloat, and it's nice and circular for all kinds of bait. You know, I put 25-inch long or 3 feet long fish in there, like a redfish or a black drum, head first, and I'll keep them in there in the water for like an hour or 2 or whatever while I'm trying to fish for more, or you know, whatever I'm doing, and then I'll put them in here, take them back to land, replenish the water inside the bucket, put it in my truck, and take it all the way home. And you know, keep them alive, keep your catch alive throughout that entire time period. It's not just a bait tank. So that's, you know, kind of the hardest part. The next part is to sew it together, because if you look right here, there's a gap. You see that, see how the ring is elevated in areas where it's not zip tied? And when I first made this, I tried to like zip tie the hell out of it, and dude, that is so much trouble cutting all those tags, and it still didn't work. Like, it totally didn't work. You know, finger mullet, pinfish, you know, even big mullet, because they'll try to swim down because they're trying to find a way out, and their head will get stuck in that, and then they'll die. So the best thing to do is just sew it up and use some monofilament. And the easiest way to do that is to actually hang this from someplace. Okay, so I have this just kind of hanging from a ceiling fan. And, you know, right where I have it zip tied, I went ahead and put a little knot, you know, a good strong knot, monofilament. I'm going to cut me a nice long strip, and then I'm just going to weave it around the ring and through the mesh. And you want to make sure that here where it sags a lot, see how it sags here, you know, I want to kind of go in. You want to actually take that out on the outside of the ring and keep it nice and tight as you weave through it. It's going to be really hard to do that on camera. But, I mean, again, it's not rocket science. I'm pretty sure everyone can figure it out. And do the same with here, too, because a lot of times, especially the big mullet, they'll get wedged up between this ring, and then they'll get stuck and won't be able to swim. So you don't have to go through every little tiny mesh, you know. I'll skip like 5 or 6 of them and then wrap around another 5 and 6 and wrap around. I'll go all the way around with one monofilament and just put the 2 knots together in the end here. And that'll basically be the end of this construction. Okay, you all, this is the final product. And what I'm going to try to do here with one hand, okay, is just show you how I'm able to feed or sew this top rim after you get it on there with the zip ties with monofilament. Down here, it's not really a big deal, you know. But up here, you see how this monofilament has a natural curve to it. You know, you just basically feed it down, you know, straight down, and what will happen, see, I did it perfect that time. What happened is it'll just feed in one of the holes in the bottom, just like that, and then you just pull it through. And, you know, I just start off right here at this gap. I tie a knot here, and then I'll feed it through just like I just showed you, and then I'll pull it, and then I'll do it again and again. I'll go all the way around. You can put multiple knots as you go, but I don't bother. I just go all the way around with it. Just so the baits don't get trapped between the mesh and this, and, you know, impede their swimming and end up dying. And of course, the same concept here. Like, you can't get in there. Like, if I were to stick my hand up inside here, you would have to work in order to get between the mesh and this ring. So another thing you can do is this bunched up area, you can fold it up underneath and just kind of sew it on itself on the bottom there, but I'm not going to bother to do that. And as for a weight, I use like a 5-pound weight is ideal in most situations, even in hard current and surf and all that. 5-pound weight is usually enough to hold this whole thing down and keep your fish alive for many hours, many hours. So anyway, I hope all this was informative, and I'll see you all in the next video.